Chapter 19. I was next to the track by then. The up train went screaming past in a mighty rush of wind, of diesel and noise. It blew away the sound of shouting from the close and tossed my hair around. Even the big, fat, white moon seemed to shake as it went by. When it had gone, I had 13 minutes till the next train came. I stepped onto the track. The rails were shining blue. They looked like long metal ladder leading all the way to the moon, and the moon looked like the entrance to a tunnel full of light. I tipped the bag of money out onto the track. I had taken a box of matches from the kitchen. I tried to light one. It blew out before it lit properly. I put a €10 note between my teeth and lit that from the next match. It burned really quickly. I dropped it onto the pile. I thought it was going to blow out right away, but another note caught fire first, and then another, and soon dozens of them were blazing. As they burnt, they rose into the air, carried up by their own heat. Soon they were dancing round me like confetti of fire. I started to laugh, and out of nowhere a charm of zebra finches flew through the middle of them, twittering madly. The gust of their wings seemed to make the fire brighter, and more sheets of flame whooshed into the air. I put my arms out and spun around, whirling the flames higher and higher. When I stopped, that's when I saw her. She was sitting down, which surprised me. She obviously had been there a while, watching me. I said, "I know you're only a dream, but I don't care. It's nice to see you, even in a dream." She smiled, then she looked past me at the fire. Its rosy glow spread over her cheek. Her skin was shiny and perfect. She wasn't wearing any foundation or tinted moisturiser. She just had better skin than other mothers. I said, "I tried to be good with it, but the money just makes everything worse." She stood up, and for a minute I thought she was going to walk away. I shouted, "Talk to me, please." She looked at her watch. She said, 2 minutes, okay? And listen, I am your mother after all, and I'm dead, so I know what I'm talking about. All right? Of course it was all right. You need to use conditioner on your hair. Your dad won't think of that, but it makes all the difference, believe me. Dental hygiene, it's no good saying your prayers and then forgetting to brush your teeth. If you get gum infection, it will colour your outlook and you'll lose your zest. Now, Anthony, he seems to have taken it better than you, but he hasn't. He's got a good heart. He doesn't know where it is. He's going to need you. Be good to him. Me? You're not to worry about me. You've been worrying about me, haven't you? I just nodded. Well, don't. It's very interesting where I am. We're kept very busy. What about Dad? I said. Well, obviously you should be good to him as well. He is your father. No, I said. I mean, couldn't you talk to him? What about? I wasn't sure whether to say. He can't see me anyway. Why not? I said, although I knew why not really. I looked back towards the house. It's her, isn't it? Your dad and her. Damien, you know how complicated the money was. Well, people are even more complicated. You want things to be good or bad, but things are complicated. The thing to remember is that there's nearly always enough good going around to be getting on with. You've just got to have a bit of faith, you know? And if you've got a bit of faith in people, that's what makes them stronger. And you've got enough to sort out all three of you. That's why I'm counting on you. I've not been worrying about you, I said. I've been missing you. Well, that's allowed, she said. Then I asked her, Anthony says you're not a saint. Well, the criteria are very strict. It's not just a case of being good and all that. You do have to do an actual miracle. So, I asked. Oh, I'm in there. Of course I am. What was your miracle? Don't you know? and she looked me up and down and then said very quietly, "It was you." In the distance, I could hear Anthony calling me. She looked at her watch. 4. She stepped off the track then. The upcoming train was coming. I stepped off the track backwards and so did she, so we were on opposite sides of the track. The train rushed between us. I was sure she wouldn't be there when all the carriages had gone, but she was. She was still there. I grinned. Anthony was nearer and louder now. I yelled, "Coming!" and turned to go to him. She said, "Hey!" and I looked back. "Aren't you going to come and say goodbye?" I ran across the line and hugged her. She smelt of Clinique every day and rain. She was warm, at least I think she was warm. It could have been the heat from the burning money, gusting towards me. Then I felt her wedding ring snag in my hair, and I knew it was a real hug. It made all the things that had kept her from me seem like dreams. She whispered, "Be good to him," and then she was gone. "What have you done?" It was Anthony. He knew what I'd done, really. I didn't say anything. I just started to walk back to the house. He followed me. I wasn't looking at him when I said, "Did you see her?" He didn't say no. He just said, "What did she say?" I stopped and turned to face him. "She's pleased with us. She says we're going to be all right." We set off for the house. "Damien," Anthony said, "you're not a nutter, by the way." "I know," I said, "but you are." And I laughed and ran off. "Right, you've had it," he said, and chased after me. We were doing about 90 when we hit the kitchen door. Dad looked up, shocked like a comet had come through the window. "Where the hell have you been?" he yelled. Dorothy was there, and so were the policemen. "We were just going to have a nice cup of tea," said the community copper. "He's burnt it." "He's what?" "Damien burnt the money." The policeman looked at me very hard and said, "No harm done then. That's what the government wanted to do in the first place. It's to do with the money supply." Dad went up to the front bedroom and opened the window. The voices in the close poured in like water. He shouted, "Listen!" and the voices stopped. "The boys, one of the boys has, down by the railway. He burnt the lot, all of it." There was no sound in the reply. It felt like there was no one out there. Then one voice, an old man's voice, went, When you say burnt, how badly?" "What?" "Only if you can still see the serial numbers, apparently you can get the remuneration at the bank." There was one more second of quiet, and then suddenly a huge wave of voices exploded. There was shouting and yelling and pushing and shoving, and a whole crowd of people poured out of the close and through the gardens towards the railway line. The police went after them due to concerns about large numbers trespassing on the railway property, which left Dad, me and Anthony and Dorothy. She was putting on her coat. She said, "Well, it was fun while it lasted, eh?" Dad said, "Listen, if you want the car—" No, I love my little car, thanks all the same." She kissed him on the cheek, ruffled my hair, and went to ruffle Anthony's, but stopped herself just in time. And then she left. We stood around saying nothing. I was waiting to hear her engine start, but it didn't. Instead, the doorbell rang. It was her, back again. "Look," she said, "there's no easy way to say this, but the fact is," she put her hand inside her coat, "I kept a bit back for myself. It's yours, really." She put a wedge of money on the table. Dad looked shocked at first, then pleased. "It's 6 grand, she said. He went to the biscuit tin on the top shelf, levered it open and pulled out another wedge. He put it next to Dorothy's. She laughed. "You crook," she said. "It's the dollars. It felt different somehow. 10 grand's worth." 10 grand? That's worse than me. That's twice as bad as me, nearly. Anthony was emptying his dressing gown pocket. He had rolls of notes the size of a Jaffa Cake orange. I just liked having a wedge, the feel of it. It wasn't the money really, it was more of like a stress ball. How much? 4,345. They stared at him. He shrugged. I just enjoyed counting it. Then all three stared at me. I said, well, don't look at me, I haven't got any. And they kept staring. I haven't. Oh, well, you could have put a bit by. Well, I didn't.